Well, hello, and welcome to episode 33 of our front yard garden in the South Carolina upstate. It is October 17th. We're well into fall now. Another Friday morning, absolutely beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky. It's right around 70 degrees, a tiny breeze, but not much. Great time to go out and look at the garden. Of course, not a lot to see at this time of year, but there are still some flowers that are blooming. As you can see right here, our zinnias are still giving us some color, and certainly not as much as we were getting even a month ago. But there are some little surprises, as most gardens will have, and we're going to go through those. It's already time to deadhead again. I'm getting a lot of flowers that are finished up, and it just has a very fall look to it, almost like a cornfield at this point. But one surprise that I've just come across here in the last few days, if any of you were following these videos back in the spring, we had some clematis growing up here on the mailbox, and they have come back. They kind of died off in the summer, and they frequently will do that. We had big brown vines all over the mailbox, and they looked terrible. Just since, I'd say maybe in the last week or so, we're getting some new clematis coming up out of the ground. I had pulled all the old ones out, and they're now coming back, and we've got some really pretty Giacomini clematis here that are growing up amongst the zinnias. I'm going to try to train those when they're a little bit longer back onto the mailbox, so we have those for next spring. Because I was afraid I was going to need to just buy some more and put them in, but maybe they'll come back and won't have to do that, which would be really nice. But as always with the zinnias, we've got all kinds of different colors. These were all put in or planted by seed in coffee cups on our back porch back in the spring. We put them in probably mid-May, maybe early May, and they're very low maintenance. Very nice colors, and you've got reds, oranges, whites, yellows, purples, pinks, just about every color you can imagine. And they this time of year they kind of look pretty bad, but and then they get really long and spindly, and they kind of drag out into the yard. But despite that, they are just filled with color throughout the summer, and definitely worth the effort if you are so inclined. One other thing that's worth mentioning is we only have the taller zinnias, the ones that are about 5 feet in height. There are shorter versions, a little easier to manage, but they don't put out as much color overall, and they are probably not as much of an impact flower, put it that way. And here we have we're going to go a little bit different way because some of the neighbors are out, and I'm just trying to give them some space. But these are our knockout roses. I deadheaded these a few weeks ago, and I was hoping that maybe we would get some growth, but I think I did it too late in the year, because I'm not really seeing any new growth or flowers or anything. But if I had done that earlier in the year, I think they would be a little more prolific. One of our neighbors has a lot of these. He's a retiree, so he has a lot of time to put into his garden, and he's got flowers left and right. And I'm hoping next year, if I can stay on top of this with the deadheading, that these will do better. These azaleas are doing great. They're getting their second, I call it the second wind, but their second blooming. They bloomed in the spring. We have two different types. These ones with the light pink, and actually it's kind of a bicolor light pink with the dark pink throat. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. And of course we have some hydrangeas here, long since finished. And then we have a couple different types of azaleas back in here. We have these with red flowers. These appear to be about done. I don't think they're going to bloom anymore this fall. Sometimes it's hard to tell because they don't all come out at once. They kind of come out more gradually. And then we have the more traditional light purple variety. But for the most part, this is a spring bed, and in about, I would say about 5 months, we're going to be getting a lot of activity here. We have, again, azaleas, we have hydrangeas, and then we have these viburnum, these big bushes here, which will put out big tufts of white flowers, and those should be really pretty. Over here, kind of the same thing. Viburnum, I've cut them back for the first time, hoping that they would put out more flowers and a little bit less of the greenery. But not a lot to see here. They're just shrubs for right now. Same thing with this gardenia here. It didn't do much this year, but it is slowly getting bigger and bigger. So hopefully it'll give us some more flowers as time goes by. Big white flowers that bloom out of that. We've got our little citrus area here, our orange tree, which doesn't really do anything other than exist. Lemon tree kind of doing the same thing. Then we have our small lemons here. Now, the interesting thing about these, I've had very minimal involvement, but these did put out a lot of flowers over the summer. And out of all those, we did get 2 actual lemons. And this one has started to turn yellow. And it looks like maybe this one is doing the same. It's starting to lighten up in color. So maybe they're ripening. They're not huge, but I don't think they're supposed to be huge fruits. So we're going to watch those over the next few weeks and see what they do. But overall, even though these were all small and they're just in small pots right now, as you can see, straight from the box store. I think I got these at Home Depot on discount. They've done much better. They've put out more flowers and actually starting to put out some more leaves too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those. I'm going to move them around to the back porch so that they're protected from the winter once it gets cold. And not sure what I'm going to do with these. I left them out last year. They didn't do too well with that, but they're so heavy to move around. It's hard to keep taking them inside every time it's going to freeze. And we don't get a lot of frost here, but when we do, it's not real favorable for plants that prefer the warm air. And certainly citrus trees prefer that because they're normally in Florida and California. This is not an area where you would normally see a whole lot of citrus. In fact, you wouldn't really see any citrus at all, or palm trees or anything else that you think, oh, we're in the South, we should be seeing that. No, it doesn't really work that way. We're in the upstate. Our elevation here is about 1,000 feet. We're in the Piedmont. In fact, we're within distance of being able to see the Blue Ridge Mountains about 30 miles north of here. From some of the higher elevations, you can see those. So we're very, very close to the mountains, and this is not an area where you would normally see that kind of stuff. These hydrangeas are done for the year. And just since last week, when we did this video, our black-eyed Susans here have just about finished up. We have a little bit of yellow left, but not a lot. This will probably be the last week for these. And last week they were fully in bloom. It was just a sea of yellow. It was beautiful, but they all kind of finished up around the same time. And now we just have lots and lots of these seed pods. But we do have some more zinnias up in this area. Again, just kind of finishing up. But we do have some that are still fresh flowers, very, very pretty. These purple ones here, bright red ones here. Some more of the bright red ones. And overall, I'd say these are doing a little bit better than the ones out by the street for whatever reason. But it's interesting with this particular group, we have some colors that we aren't seeing and haven't seen out at the street level all year, and I don't know why. More of these pinks and different shades of pink and red. You get this one that's just a slightly darker red. This one's a slightly lighter color. And then oranges and the whole transition from orange to red. And then you've got some that are just an absolute blood red. And these are all coming in the same package, so you don't have to buy, a bunch of different flowers. But the other thing that's peculiar, and I have not had an explanation for this, is some areas, like this group right here, these are all red. And we grew them all together. We put them in all together. It's the same thing over here. This particular group are all pink. They're all the same color, but I don't know why. I mean, we have one orange, one yellow, but for the most part, like 95% of them are all pink. It's very strange. But my wife kind of overestimated what our needs were going to be last spring, and she put in roughly 600 seeds, 600 coffee cups full of zinnias. And so we have zinnias left and right, and I still ended up giving away about 2/3 of them to friends, and from what I've been told, they're doing very well. So if you have the time, you have some soil and some coffee cups, and the seeds are cheap, you can have a fantastic zinnia garden with relatively little involvement. Now, other things in this area would include Russian sage, and there's not a lot to show here, but it is still around. These little delicate purple flowers, they're doing reasonably well. This one has not taken over. It's certainly not an impact flower, but it's kind of buried back in amongst everything else, and it's kind of a neat little thing to see. And the other thing that has come and gone over the year, and right now it's blooming again. I thought we weren't going to see any more, but these dahlias, these are not dinner plate dahlias. They're not huge, but they're a good 4 inches across. You get some that are about 6 inches across. Those are the dinner plate variety, and we don't really have any of those. But this nice yellow one is doing great. And then just since last week, these two pink ones have come out. We've had some others. I won't even say pink. This is more of a red or a magenta. They're all covered with water right now from our sprinkler system, so they're a little heavy. I'm going to leave it up here, but we've had some other pink ones that have done pretty well this year, but this is not a prolific bloomer. This is a little bigger one. This is a good 4 or 5 inches across, but they tend to get so top heavy that they fall right over. And so what I'll try to do is move them around. They are kind of balanced on each other, so you can actually see them. There, that way they stay up. You can actually enjoy them. But that's about it for the front yard. Oh, I guess I'll mention our petite knockout rose here. I deadheaded this about 6 weeks ago, and it got its second wind. I think between the deadheading and the weather cooling down, because we had a very hot summer, which was not too favorable for roses. It got a lot of blooms. They're starting to fade now, but I don't know if we're going to get much more before the end of the year. We've got probably another month or so in our growing season, although the weather here can really vary. Last year, we didn't get our first frost until December 1st. The year before that, we had it in mid-October, right around now. So you just never know. But so far, there's no indication that we're going to get a frost soon. So hopefully these things will continue to bloom. Of course, frosts are not the only factor in when flowers stop blooming. A lot of it just comes down to the length of the day, and as the days get shorter, for example, these zinnias have been kind of gradually winding down now over the last month, just because the days are getting shorter. It's not, the weather has not been unpleasant at all. We're frequently still in the 70s, even 80s during the day. So, and our nights are not cold. So they're just responding to the amount of light that they get. One last thing I'll show here is our climbing rose. Kind of hard to see here with the shadows. There's really not much to see, but this thing has struggled with black spot all year. It is trying to put out some new leaves. I don't know if they'll get out in time for the before the end of the growing season, but we had some flowers on this as recently as this week, but I think for the time being it might be done for the season. But that has been one of our best performing flowers. It's really done well. It's given us consistent red roses, and especially in a prominent place like this at the corner of the house, near the garage, you really see it easily. So hopefully this will come back next year and give us more color. That's about it for the front yard. We're going to do our backyard video next, so hang on for that. Hope it's sunny wherever you are, and until next time, happy gardening.